Hi, my name is Shawn Ruegge, and I'd like to give you a little introduction, a director's commentary, if you will, before I begin my film.
I started out extremely excited. I had my approved script in hand. I was going to make a film. Maybe not as great as Fellini or Kurosawa, but it was a start. But before I could heavily invest in that project, I knew I had to clear the board of a few other projects I was doing. I took a class to finish off a humanities requirement, and all too soon, or too late if you will, realized I would have to act out children's stories. The selection process was, of course, arduous. Do I do Humpty Dumpty or Cinderella? I settled on Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby. After all, it was in our textbook.
Hello, Professor. I brought my selection for what I want to do my performance on. It's Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby.
The teacher gave me that look. The look that says, I'm not sure where you're going with this. And after a few minutes of staring back at her with that strange, wild look in her eye, she wrote down a website. I turned on my computer and viewed an African-American woman telling her own watered-down, childlike version of the story. I immediately wanted to change my choice, but she insisted I stick with it.
After I had adapted the story to be what I wanted it to be, the time came for me to perform, and I was prepared, and I walked to the front of the class. Well, howdy, youngins. How y'all doing today? See, I didn't quite catch that. See, I ain't got my hearing aids in so well. So, when I say howdy, I need y'all to say howdy real loud so I can hear. Well, that's much better. See, I'm your country cousin. I don't know if you remember me from the family reunions or not, but I'm your country cousin.
And then I totally blanked. I'm not sure how long I paused. It felt like an eternity as I stood there swearing under my breath, evidently a bit louder than I imagined.
When I looked up at the teacher, her face was pinched up and red. I knew I was boned. But I regained my composure, and I finished without a hitch. But the damage was done. With that finally out of the way, I was ready to start shooting my student film. So I asked a couple of people if they wanted to be in it, and they did. And I was just so elated by that. Awesome. And the first person, the main actress that I asked, she had attitude, which I knew was needed for the part. The day before the first day we were going to shoot, my main actress, she sent me an email that said, I'd like to have a copy of the script. And I was fine with that. And so I went ahead and dashed one off to her, just because I wanted her to be prepared.
I'll check my email.
The day of the shoot came, and I was ready to shoot. But I got an email from one of my actresses. She said she couldn't shoot for moral reasons. She couldn't say the F word. Now, by looking at her, I couldn't imagine that she had never even said the F word in her life. Now, after saying the F word about 10 to 15 times myself, I went ahead and dashed off another email to her, and I said, you know what, we can work around it. But I knew that the moment had passed, and I was bummed.
As time was of the essence, I thought, there's got to be a workaround. Every filmmaker suffers from setbacks. Although a novice, I thought about working with different camera angles and editing. And after trying out several different takes, I decided to move on and film other scenes.
Stop, you're grounded.
Money was running low, and the camera was eating up batteries faster than a billy goat on steroids. I knew money was out there.
I'm a money-making machine.
Bottles and cans, my friends.
Bottles of cans and just clap your hands. Come on, clap your hands.
I did manage to piss off a homeless man who said it was his territory, but at least I was back in business. But not for long. After a series of setbacks, I was totally depressed and ended up getting sick. Not just a 24-hour bug, but more like a pandemic flu. I was sick all through Thanksgiving and beyond. I knew my film had also suffered what may have been a near-fatal blow. I wasn't sure that I could be resourceful enough to pull it off.
In retrospect, I just wanted to give some insight as to what I learned through the process. Life is full of times when profanity is a useful device, although it's not always seen that way by everyone. People don't really want to be in some unknown filmmaker's movie unless A, they think they're a star, B, you make them feel like a star, or C, you pay them. And good equipment doesn't come cheap. Optimism will keep you going, but it doesn't always make for a great film. In the end, the process became the product. All I really had was my optimism and this footage. So this is my student film. Thanks for watching.